Okay, thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, everyone. This is the April 27th meeting of the Landmarks Land Use Committee of Community Board 2 in Brooklyn. Karen Johnson is our secretary, so I'm asking all presenters, well, first to be as succinct as possible since we do have a good number of presentations tonight. So I ask that, and I ask again for Karen Johnson to speak clearly and give, if you have to spell your names or anything else, please do so. Thank you very much. Darcy Christophans, our co-chair, and I'm Carlton Gordon. Next is, I guess we'll have the agenda. Just to ask if there's no objection, I'd just like to get hear no objections. I'd like to adopt the agenda as written out.
So moved.
Hearing no objections. Okay, thank you. Hearing no objections, the agenda has been adopted. Before we can go into the next parts of our meeting, we have under, I guess, requirements from the Comptroller's Office. We just have to open up we have this piece of the meeting to non-committee members or non-board members. If we have any people who wish to speak for non-committee members, non-board members, members of the public, if there's something they wish to bring to our attention concerning what we have coming or anything else, this is your moment.
We need to approve the minutes as well.
Hi, Carlton.
Okay. Yeah, hi, Betty. Yeah.
Hi. I have a comment about one of the items on the agenda. I don't know if this is the appropriate time or when you discuss that particular item.
I think it's when we discuss the item, right?
Yeah, I think it's if you have a real, yeah. Which item? I'll make a note of it. Which item will you want to talk about so I can, highlight it and say, Betty, I'll give you a moment.
Sure.
Which one?
The Café Kitsuné on Bond.
Oh, yeah, on Bond Street, 10417. Okay, so let's make a note of it.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, for that, yeah, since you, especially since you're a board member, your information counts a lot, even though you can't vote on it. But you will be able to speak about it, and I will open it up to you after the presentation. I'll go over to you, and then we'll take it from there. Okay. Yeah.
Mr. Gordon, I just want to make sure we're clear on that. Because she's a board member, she's going to comment during the actual presentation.
During the actual presentation, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I wanted to know which one, and I made a note of it on my in my notes, so that when we after the presentation on 104-117 Bond Street, I'll turn to Betty. I'll give her the next crack at the bat, so to speak, and then we'll go with other comments as well.
Did we approve the minutes?
Oh, sorry, hold on. I'm sorry, guys, we're jumping around a little bit. Sorry to interrupt you, Hazra. I thought I saw another hand on the open session.
Oh.
Should.
I'd like to, when it comes to the agenda items for the conversions from multifamily to fewer units, I'd like to speak on that as a member of the public.
Okay, yeah, actually, there is something, of interest. As a general, okay, I will say, as a general topic, you can speak about it for a couple of minutes. And you're Shane
Sapini.
Whatever, yeah, Shep. All right, go ahead, give your name, sorry.
No problem.
I was trying
Shane
to figure out the last.
Yeah, Shane Sapini. I live on 110 Livingston Street.
Go ahead, you have a couple of minutes.
Oh, we're not going to do it during the presentation.
Do you want to speak about a specific building, or you just want to give a general commentary about the?
I think it's 1 Willow and 40 Schermerhorn, I think, are the two proposed.
Okay, well, give your commentary right now. Go ahead.
Well, the commentary is that I'm a renter in the neighborhood, and I have a lot of misgivings about turning multifamily properties into single family or fewer units available for rent. We have a housing crisis in Brooklyn. We have a housing crisis in our community board district. And the idea that we're just going to destroy existing units of housing, I think is something that we should not do lightly, particularly when it's so difficult to get new housing built. When we have new housing proposals, those go on for years and years and years, but it seems that when there's somebody decides that they want to buy a property and destroy units that are already existing, those things are approved quickly. We don't remove any of the, like, you know, when you build stuff, you have parking requirements. There's no destruction of parking when these units go off the market, and I end up paying for it as a renter. My rent goes up significantly every year. And when there's less supply on the market and the same demand, I end up subsidizing these conversions, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I would urge people to vote against destroying existing housing in the community board district too. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sapina. Okay, yes, the next thing just briefly is adoption of the, this is April, March.
Mr. Gordon, there's another hand raised.
Yeah. Oh, okay, there's a.
Hi,
Courtney,
I'm
okay.
Courtney. I just wanted to say that I'll be speaking about 104 to 112 bond for
Well,
Café.
actually, we should.
Kitsuné.
Okay, all right, yeah, all right. We'll, okay, we'll do that as well. Okay. And your name is Courtney. What's your last name? Homestead? Homestead. Oh,
Homestead Tejada.
So we're not doing
Okay.
that right now, just to remind everyone, this is still open session, and I believe I see another hand. There's a Bill here that has a hand up.
And just to clarify, Mr. Gordon, Courtney Olmsted Tejeda is the architect representing that project.
okay, well, you'll come up, you'll get your turn. So, a fellow named Bill, you have your hand up as a comment.
Yes, I put something in the chat. Bill Stein, I'll be speaking for Fulton Ferry Landing Association on agenda item 1.
Then what you'll do, okay, then we'll open that up. That's Water Street. Okay, you'll
Yes.
speak on that when we get to that, when we get to the landmark preservation certificates of appropriateness.
Yes.
All right. All right, if there are no others, just like to get an adoption of the March minutes, if there's no objection. Hearing no objection, the minutes for March have been adopted. Thank you. Okay, so now we finally will go over to the Landmark Preservation Commission certificate of appropriateness applications. The first one is 1 Water Street, also known as the Ample Hills Creamery in the Fulton Ferry Historic District. This one is basically going to be, it's a large sign, or large, will be put up at the creamery. Basically, to, I guess, to let people know, it'll be 6 feet 3, have it 6 feet 3 inches in size. It'll be a large, fairly large sign with lettering, flat clip lettering, and basically that's what it is, and it's non-illuminated. Okay, so whoever presenting for the presenter for 1 Water Street, go ahead.
I'm Sarah Hummel, and I'm representing Apple Hills regarding this.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is David Lowen. I'm from the Brooklyn Bridge Park, and I'm going to be presenting this, and Sarah is here as well from Apple Hills in case we have any specific questions about the signage or how the Apple Hills thing
Which
works.
one do you want to go first?
I'll go, and Sarah will chime in as necessary. I have a quick presentation. If I can share my screen, I can pull it up.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Can everyone see that? Okay.
I see it. Go ahead.
Okay, so the site is a two-story building located at the corner of Furman and Old Fulton, right over here. It's block 26, lot 21. It's a building that was built in 1926 and initially used as a fireboat house, then later as a museum, and most recently as an ice cream concession, originally the Brooklyn Ice Cream Factory, and now Ample Hills. It was included in the Fulton Ferry Historic District Designation Report in 1977. This is what it says about it. Nothing about signage specifically listed in here, but just for sake of completeness, wanted to include this. This is the Fulton Ferry Historic District map. The building we're talking about is right here in this black circle. Here are some photos of the site. This, of course, is not the building that we were talking about. This is the building that previously occupied that location. It is the Fulton Ferry Head House, which no longer exists. As you can tell from the timing, the Brooklyn Bridge is under construction in this photo. This is the building we were talking about. This is from the mid 20th century. You can see the elevated tracks just to the south of it. Again, same time period. This is from the 1970s. Relevant to our conversation, you can see there is signage. This is the east facade of the building. This was when it was acting as a museum for national maritime history. More recently, in the early 2000s, when it was the Brooklyn Ice Cream Factory, there was signage in the same spot as there was over here. And in addition to that, there was also signage over here on the on the south facade on the ADA ramp that leads to the southern entrance. In terms of the location of the signage, the problem with the previous signage that we indicated was that there are currently lots of trees and plantings on both the north facade and the east facade. And so when you approach the building from those facades, all that signage or any potential signage over there would be blocked by these dense plantings on these sides. In addition, the front of the building is over here on the west side. That is where the main entrance is. But the only people who access it only from that side are the people who are coming off the ferry, which is a small percentage of the overall people who are coming to the building. The side of the building where you can actually see it and identify any signage that would help you identify what the building is are coming up Furman Street towards the north or from Pier 1 over to it. And that is why we believe that the south facade is the most appropriate place for signage. The actual proposed signage you can see right here. As was mentioned before, it's 3 by 6.5 feet. It is essentially the Ample Hills logo with 2 small gooseneck lamps to illuminate it. It is, what else? It is, that's basically, I think, all I have to show for that. It is between these 4 windows over here, kind of centered between it. We had showed it to LPC staff earlier. The original version of this was a slightly larger sign. They had asked for us to shrink it down a little bit, which is how we arrived at this size right here. We previously showed it at the Brooklyn Bridge Park Community Advisory Committee meeting a couple of weeks ago. The overall, the CAC doesn't necessarily vote on these type of items. The discussion, in the discussion, some folks there expressed that the Ample Hills Creamery sign, the actual graphics of it are not very historic, but it is the actual Ample Hills logo, so they didn't really object to it. Most people felt that the overall size and location was appropriate. There was a representative there from the Fulton Ferry Landing Association who objected to that, did not think this was the appropriate location, and I'm sure that Bill, who's here, will echo that comment, but there were, I think, at least 1 or 2 other people who were at this meeting who were there who can attest to the fact that everyone else at the meeting did not share those feelings. So I think that's about it, and I'm ready to take questions.
Okay, do you want to have your colleague also comment on it?
Sarah, do you have anything to add?
For any further comment?
Yeah, sure. So we're Ample Hills. If you haven't heard of us, we are a Brooklyn-based ice cream company, and we love being a part of the Brooklyn Bridge Park. And our only issue is just a lot of people don't really know that we're there. We're kind of lost within those trees. So having some signage to indicate that we are an ice cream location would be really helpful for us. And we ask for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. I promised Bill, not Bill Flournoy, but Bill, I need to get your last thing because we do have another bill. Just to give you a minute to tell us what is on your, what concerns you have.
Yes, I'm Bill Stein. I'm representing the Fulton Ferry Landing Association. And at the outset, I want to say that we appreciate that the park and the applicant are going through the proper process to go apply to landmarks for the certificate of appropriateness, rather than just hanging a large banner as the previous incarnation of Ample Hills did on the south side of the building back in 2020. As David mentioned, there was some concern at the CAC meeting, and also FFLA did reach out to some residents of the neighborhood for their opinions on this. And while there are some concerns about the location on the south rather than the east side, we recognize what David testified to about the visibility. And as far as the design itself, there is some concern about the bright red coloring on the logo being appropriate for this historic building. But we also appreciate the fact that the landmark staff reduced the size of the sign by approximately 40% when you look at the square footage. I just also want to mention, I think Tara has a photo that I submitted earlier today. She's going to share. David's presentation, I just wanted to point out that while it pointed out the signage on the east side when it was the museum in the brief period from 1976 to 1982, and also he had the signage when it was the Brooklyn Ice Cream Factory. This is the building as it looked for most of the 20th century. From 1930 till 1970, it was a fireboat house, and it was engine company 77 from 1930 to 1959. And if you zoomed in on the sign, that's what it says there, engine company 77. This is a 1954 photo from the Daily News. And from 1959 to 1970, it was the home for Marine Company 7. They reorganized the FDNY, changed the station name from Engine Company 77 to Marine Company 7. So I just wanted to say that it's just further evidence of the signage at the location on the east side. That being said, the majority of the FFLA board is of the opinion not to object to this application and to leave it to the commissioners at Landmarks as to whether the location is appropriate and to whether the bright red coloring on the Ample Hills sign is appropriate. We, as I said, we appreciate that it's going through the proper process. Unlike we have other businesses on Old Fulton Street that are in violation of signage. Haagen-Dazs Cinnabon is one of them, and the Christmas store with blinking Christmas lights year round. So we are hoping that Landmarks will cite them as in violation, and we look forward to the community board to help to assist us in that matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill Stein. Okay, I see we do have a bunch of hands up. So this is for our committee. First one I have on my screen is Judy Stanton. Go ahead, Judy Stanton.
You're muted, Judy.
All right, okay, now I'm unmuted. Just want to preface my comment by saying how scrumptious the ice cream is. I think last night, I think the flavor I had was coffee toffee. It was really good. But my with whether or not you considered different placement on the facade for the sign. Don't you, do you think that if it were shifted above the little roof element, it might, I know that sort of tucks it off, but I'm wondering if that would be more, I mean, it's not going to make it any more historic. It's not an historic sign, but I'm just wondering if it would look more symmetrically appropriate.
We took into consideration several options. Ideally, we would like for it to be on that side where historically there was a sign. However, over time, there's been a beautiful tree that has grown right in front of that building. So unfortunately, if we were to put a sign there, it would go completely unnoticed. Which is why we are trying to put it on.
I don't see a tree in that.
In several photos, those were very old historic photos. But if you were currently to go there right now, there is a huge tree right in front of that building itself. Actually, around both sides. So, yep.
I think Sarah, she's talking about right over here. Is that right?
Yeah. Right. So I was talking about the different options that we took into consideration. So to the point of where the sign was previously, the reason why we wanted it on that side was because of the trees on the other two sides. And then of course the front, that's the entrance, but if you were to come from any of the other sides, you wouldn't have known that it's actually an ice cream location. So that being said, we chose that side. And then to speak to where on that side to put it, what our designers found is that would be the most eye level, where someone on the ground would see that we are indeed an ice cream location. Also keep in mind that there's no ice cream picture or anything. It's just the words with our logo.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Judy? Okay, if not, I'm going to go over to Bill Flournoy. That's the next one I have on my screen.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Okay. Hi, thank you very much. I appreciate the presentation. I understand completely why you need a sign up there. You're looking at competition from other ice cream vendors in the area. And even though the individuals who have lived here for quite some time are very much aware of you, the individuals who are new to the area do not know who you are. And that's a shame because your ice cream is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Okay, with that said, I don't have a problem with where the sign is at because, like you said before, it needs to be visible. I'm going to ask you, you said you have lighting in front of it, okay, to illuminate it, okay?
Just goosenecks that come out.
Just goosenecks.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a little problem with that, the lighting.
Okay.
Okay, but other than the lighting, I have no problem with the design and the location. Now, why do you have the lighting? Please explain that to us.
The majority of our business is done after dark since we are a dessert location. So really between 8 o'clock is kind of our peak time. And again, if it's not lit, it's hard to see that we are there.
Okay, and how bright is illumination on the sign?
They're two goosenecks, so not bright, just enough to see the sign.
I just wanted to point out that as I mentioned before, that LPC shrunk down the sign on the signs. One of the other revisions that happened through our consultation with LPC staff was the size of the gooseneck bulbs was shrunk down as well. So those are smaller than they originally were. So the intention is for them to be pretty not that visible. The real point is that
they addressed it also. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Carlton,
Next, yes, Ms. Ali is the next on our, on my screen.
yes, thank you. It's funny that Bill was asking about the light because that's exactly what I would like to mention. Is it possible that you put the goosenecks in black? Because I think they're adding to the red, and the red was an eyesore to Bill, the person from the Historic Society. Can you put up the sign again? Were you open to, because it seems like the border of the sign is black. Could you put the goosenecks in black as well, so it wouldn't be so much red?
I'll bring it to our design committee, but it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. All right, that's my only comment. I like the idea of the sign to bring attention to the ice cream shop. You know, it
Thank you.
seems like a desolate place without something like a sign to let people know there's an ice cream shop there.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ellie. Howard Collins, now Howard, you're not a member, although we love having you here. This is a little out of your area, but I'll give you as a courtesy, I can give you a minute.
Thank you. I just had a question for Sarah. Since there's a flag on the west side, did you consider a flag over here? And I'm not objecting to the sign, but when I walked over there this past weekend and I saw that huge tree on the east side that makes that completely it's no way can you have a sign there. It seemed like you have two issues. One is the view we're looking at right now coming up from the south, but also there's so many people you want to siphon off from the other ice cream store. Is a banner outside of the scope here?
I don't think it would be. I think we did want something a little more permanent, just to show that we're established. And then also the flag kind of, it's quite windy down there sometimes. So that's kind of why we wanted to go with a sign.
Yeah, I understand that. I feel your pain. I just felt like an actual flapping banner might actually at the end of the day be more attention getting. Absolutely. So I've asked my question. Thank you. And I will enjoy your wonderful ice cream as soon as I can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Are there any other questions or comments from committee members, board members? Oh, it's Daughtry.
Yes, just quickly. I just wonder if you considered all the historic photographs, regardless of the usage of the building, had the signage on the east side, and I understand why that is not an ideal location, but did your team consider the applied lettering in lieu of your logo? Because that seems like it would be a good compromise to have a nod to the history of the area and to address some of the concerns that have been voiced.
Idea.
I was just brought on board, so as far as I know, this has kind of been a timely process. So I wasn't involved in the initial design and consulting. I was just kind of brought to speed in the past few months. So I can't really speak to that. I don't know if David has some details of some things that he knows of what was considered. But I did hear that we would prefer our logo being there, just because we do want to maintain consistency across our brand as well. So I don't know whether or not that was considered, but I do know that this is why we decided to propose this logo.
And just to comment, I have not seen a version that they had previously. They may have had internal discussions about that, but from what they had shown us, this is the signage that they had been discussing. I think the other signs that were on the east facade were not just applied lettering. They were actually, they had a backboard to them as well.
Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve as presented with the addition of the suggestion of the lighting change. The house.
Second.
And who did the second?
Mr. Washington.
Oh, yes. There you go. Thank you for showing up, Alan.
I just want to clarify the motion, which I believe Ms. Ali's recommendation was that the goosenecks are in black.
Yes.
That'll be a friendly amendment. I
It's
guess
not an
it's
amendment. Bill included it in his
You
initial
you
motion.
have it? You did? Okay, fine. All right, so we have the motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Are there any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none. Okay, Karen, do you want to do the honors?
Sure.
Okay.
Hazra,
Yes.
Daughtry,
Abstain.
abstain. Is John there? I don't think so. Bill,
Yes.
Carlton,
Yes.
is Brian there? I haven't seen.
Yes, he seconded the motion.
Brian, sorry.
No, that was Alan Washington.
Yeah.
Oh, Alan.
Alan.
Brian? No? Okay.
No.
Irene is not there. Myself, yes. Elizabeth Ginsburg?
Yep, I'm here. I abstain.
Abstain.
Elizabeth.
Yvette? No? Okay. Ellen?
Sure, maybe she's on mute.
Okay.
Ms. Richardson is
Castelli's
present.
there.
Ms. Richardson, you're muted? Ms.
Okay.
Richardson, she is here.
Okay,
I-
she's unmuted.
Don't forget
Yvette?
Esther.
Yes. No, I've got her down here. So Yvette, no? Yes, no? Okay. Alan?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Judy
Yes.
and Esther.
Yes.
Excellent. Motion passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7.
Yes.
I come up with
abstentions.
702.
Yes, you got it.
Okay. Thank you. All right, next one is 104 to 117, 112, excuse me, 104 to 112 Bond Street, also known as the Café Kitsuné, where you'll have to help me on that.
Kitsuné.
Okay, all right, Kitsuné, thank you. Okay, so it's, they want to do some work on the ground floor where the bricks are. They want to do some work, along around the ground floor. And there's a lot of work they want to do at the, let's see, yes, okay, what else do we have here? Oh, yeah, some work on relocating or replacing the awning, which was a retractable awning. There'll be work on the door, repairing the doors, and there'll also be some work on the, let's see what else we have here. On the glazing, and basically on glazing, and some other work on the signage as well. Okay, now we'll have a presentation, and then after that, I'll take a comment from our board member, Betty Feibush. We'll have a comment from another person. It'll be another person. The name I still can't pull together, but we'll take that, and then we'll take our usual questions and answers. Okay, so the presenter can go ahead first for 104-117. Bond Street, which is in the Boerum Hill Historic District.
Okay, can I share my screen?
Let's go ahead.
Let's see. I always have to ask Ms. Mueller. Can you help him with that?
Oh, sorry.
Ms. Olmsted, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we're proposing a renovation to the storefront of 104 to 112 Bond for Café Kitsuné. It's located here in the Boerum Hill Historic District, and it's here on the corner of Bond and Pacific. Here are some historic photos of the building. This is the 1938 tax photo. This is the 1983. This is another historic photo I received from Landmark. I don't have an exact date on that, but you can see a bit of the Bond Street facade over here. Here's some current photos of the building. This one is from Bond and Pacific. This one is looking south down Bond, and this is looking east down Pacific. And then here's some closer up photos of the storefront and the condition that it was left in by the previous tenant. This is on the Pacific Street side. This is the Bond Street side. Here's a bit further down Bond Street. This area is a little bit different. It has wood cladding where the other side is all masonry. And then here we have the residential entry, which we'll leave as is. And then this area of the storefront down here towards the north end of Bond will be renovating as well. This is a rendering of what we're proposing. There's existing masonry bands here that we're gonna leave and just clean up. And then right here at the existing painted brick, we'd like to repaint that with a color that's close to the existing unpainted brick. We do a mock-up to, try to get a good match for that. The cornice is in fairly bad condition, so we'd like to clean that up and then repaint that black, and also paint the window frames, door frames and doors black as well. We like to replace these sconces with these fixtures that I'm showing here. And then also we're planning to leave all of the awning structures in place and just replace the fabric with a similar color, like a cream. And then also we would add some signage, which would include vinyl signage on the windows and then blade signs on both the Pacific Street side and the Bond Street side. And this is just another image of some of those renovations I was speaking about. And then down here, this is on the north end of Bond Street. You can see this is a lot different than the rest of the facade. It's currently in pretty poor conditions. So what we want to do is basically clean it up and replace some of the finished materials. So this orange tile, which you can see a little bit better in these photos, is damaged and some of it's missing. So we'd like to replace that here around the windows. And then right here at this inset portion, we'd like to replace that tile with wood cladding in a light oak finish. And we'd also replace the doors in the same location with the same finish. And then there's this little round window. It's another photo of it here. We'd like to remove that, infill that, and then place some illuminated signage there. And also we would replace the sconces and use the same fixtures that we're proposing to use at the other side of the storefront. And the existing glass right now is somewhat opaque. It's like a blue textured glazing, and we just want to replace that with clear glazing. And this is a plan and elevation of the Pacific Street facade. Here is a plan and elevation of the Bond Street facade. And then here's some details for the blade signs. We want to use a black matte metal and then have the logo cut out. And there would be a frosted acrylic diffuser behind that, and it would be internally illuminated with LEDs. This is a detail for the front lit signage over by the north side of Bond. It would have a frosted acrylic diffuser on the front face and then brass on the sides. And then over here, just some details for that wood cladding. That's pretty much it for those renovations.
Okay, thank you. Now, our board member, Betty Freibush, has asked, give you a couple minutes, Betty.
Thank you. Okay, so I live on the block. Can you hear me? I don't, okay, yeah. Hi, I live on the block. We of course welcome new stores and establishments, but as someone who has been civically involved for a long time, I really wonder why you're asking to do certain things that have already been done. For example, the awning has already been done. I'm not commenting on whether I like it or not, or it's in conformance with the historical neighborhood and so on. But I see that as a disrespect for people who are involved in civic engagement and who believe in the process, that this was done before you came to this committee and this entity. So I would like to hear a response. Thank you.
Well, for some of this work, we did review it with landmarks and apply for a staff level permit for things just like the awning replacement and the vinyl signage, but the more extensive renovations like the illuminated signage and the replacement of finished materials at the north end require the hearing. I believe the owner may have gone ahead with some of the renovations that we had submitted to the board. We really did not have control over that.
Thank you for your.
Hi, I'm just going to weigh in here. This is Josh. I'm also from DBD Architecture. Yeah, as far as I understand, the work that went ahead was all work that either didn't require a landmark permit at all, or is under our certificate of no effect staff level. So for example, the awning replacement, so that's part of this rendering, that was part of an initial overall proposal. Landmark said that we were able to go ahead and replace the fabric in a similar color that wasn't required as part of the
Audio. I don't know what there's a strange speaker sound when you talk.
Mr. Weisselberg, there is a little bit of feedback on your mic.
Ringing.
I think what he was saying, I was able to hear him, is that there was work that was ongoing, that was part, and that he was in cooperation with the staff of Landmarks Preservation, from what I understand, or was able to hear.
That's correct.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
He's going
no,
to re-enter his comments in the chat box.
Yeah. Okay, now there was a person, I wrote a name down and I still don't know if I can pronounce it properly, who wanted to speak about this for a moment. Gert, I'm not even going to try to pronounce, but it's there was one person that would ask to get for a moment. If not, I'm going to go on to the our committee members and our board members. Okay, I'm going to go on to our committee members. The first person who comes up on my screen is our co-chair, Daughtry Christopher.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Betty asked one of my questions, so I won't repeat it, and I appreciate the response. I think several people in the neighborhood were curious about that. I will say I have two concerns. One is the precedence of illuminated signage. This is a very residential corner. We love this spot, but I do have some concerns about illuminated signage and its impact in sort of setting a precedent in the neighborhood. I think if you walk around, you'll see that not even establishments, some on Atlantic Avenue don't have illuminated signage. So I think that's a concern of mine. And the other thing I wanted to just bring up, and I don't mean to be persnickety, and this is, I'm admittedly outside of the purview of this hearing, but I think it's important to say that you don't have a sidewalk cafe permit. And since it was in the renderings, I'm bringing it up because I saw the tables out today. So I think as a good neighbor, you need to get that settled ASAP.
Yep.
Okay, that's something we'll relay to the owner.
Thank you, Daughtry. The next person I see on my screen is Bill Flournoy. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, thank you,
Go ahead.
Chair Gordon. Okay, okay, Daughtry, you hit two of mine already. Yeah, the sidewalk cafe, I was kind of curious about that also. Okay. I was wondering if you had permission to do that, and obviously it seems like you do not. Okay, and the other item that I was concerned about was also signage. As far as illumination, Daughtry already brought that up. Okay, but I am curious about the blades. Can you give me a little more background about the blades? Because I could not see any details on it. It was just too small print.
Okay, let me zoom in a bit. I'm gonna screen share for a minute. Okay, so it's basically, it's like a coffee cup with the Café Kitsuné logo in it.
What's the size?
Size, let me pull up that detail.
Yeah, I couldn't see that. It was so small. I couldn't see how the size was.
And the sign itself is about 3.5 by 3.5. Set about a foot off of the facade.
Foot off the facade, yeah, off the. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Are there any other blade signage in the area?
I did notice some small blade signs.
Good question.
But I mostly noticed on non-illuminated on Bond Street itself. At least the businesses that were directly across the street.
Yeah, I don't think there's any blade signage in the area. So you're looking at illumination and you're looking at blade signage. I would have a problem with both, to be quite honest.
I agree, Bill. I would prefer no illumination.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Next person I see on my screen is Miss Ali. Go ahead.
I'm on mute. Yeah, I think
Okay, go ahead.
outside of the transgression of not including your neighbors about what your plans were, I think it's a beautiful rendering and it is definitely going to upgrade that corner from what it used to be. I love that they're bringing back the brick in red and not black. And they've, you know, worked on the cornice and all that. It's a beautiful rendering. I'm really happy with it. But I will agree with my colleagues about the illumination of the signage. If they approve the signage, whether it's at landmarks, staff level, I think I would prefer if they approve it and you leave it, you just don't illuminate it. But it really has upgraded, very tasteful design, and it has upgraded that corner a lot if you get everything approved.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sally. Betty, you still have more you have to say?
I always have more to say, but okay, briefly in the rendering, and I'm not sure if this is part of the land use discussion or not, but the rendering shows a few street trees that would be planted, and the pit or the bed for the street tree is not adequate for a tree. And what happens is then the trees die and it takes a very long time to remove it and it's unsightly. So I'm asking that the owner or architect make some attention to the pit or the bed of the tree that they plan to plant according to the rendering.
Okay, if there was trees shown in the rendering, that was not intentional. We weren't planning to change any of the trees on the block.
Okay.
So you would have potted plants? Can
No,
you show us
no.
the rendering again? Let's see what Betty is talking about.
While she's doing that, I will say that I think architects do this all the time where they take existing conditions and they just amplify them just, you know, as part of the rendering. I think what they're saying is they're not touching the street trees, correct?
Yeah.
Or the pits.
Yeah, we're not doing any of that
Well,
work.
one there now. There isn't a tree there now. Will there be a big pot with a nice bush? What
No.
is-
We're not gonna do any work to any plantings. That won't be included in the scope.
Okay, next person I have up now, and this is in his neighborhood, is Howard Collins of the Boerum Hill Association. So I imagine you have some comments on it.
Yes, I wanted to make it clear that blade signs, since I work for the Atlantic Avenue LDC, blade signs are what you see for almost all the businesses on the 2 blocks on Atlantic, east and west of Hoyt. There are a lot of small shops. Blade signs without any illumination are what you see. Hollow Nickel Bar has a hanging flag, a banner, which does have some side illumination. That is, again, being a nighttime business. So I like your blade signs, but again, I share everybody's concern because they're not lit anywhere. That would set a very bad precedent. And I think you've done great work with those signs, but it crosses the line when they're internally illuminated because of what it does going down the line. The comment I was going to make about outdoor seating, and I see the chat, that's good to know because the building on Bond was getting some pushback about the outdoor seating from LPC. The neighborhood loves outdoor seating. Now that I've said that, I made a comment to myself about the seating outside the bar. So at some point, I suppose there'll be a full liquor license application there. And outdoor seating in front of the bar is problematic. Outdoor seating in front of on the cafe for coffee and other food is welcome, but the bar is a separate issue. So when you know what you're doing, and that's noise, that's smoking, that's outdoor drinking, which has its own issue, please look at that carefully because that is not appropriate for residential area unless it's carefully handled. Other than that, again, I think welcome to the neighborhood. It's a very big change from what was there. We're all getting used to it. We had a joint. Now we have a really nice, really wonderful looking, well-designed cafe. And we look forward to drinking and eating there. Thank you. One more thing, I'm sorry. One more thing, I wanted to mention the bar, the neon looking sign. We didn't talk about that, but again, interior illumination, making it look like neon. Again, I'd like that to be softened as much as possible. Thank you.
Okay, Howard. Mr. Lee, you had some more?
Yes, I would like to move a motion with two suggestions. The illumination of the blade sign and the one the gentleman just mentioned about the illumination inside that could project outside. So I would like to move a motion to approve with two concerns about the lights.
Do you want there to be no illumination or do you
no
want it to be-
illumination on the blade sign?
And less illumination on the
and
interior?
yes, maybe they put a dimmer switch and keep it low if they can.
I have a second. I'll second it.
There's two, I don't know who answered.
So
I didn't hear any.
Esther answered.
Oh, Esther, are you seconding?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, Esther, give it to Esther. Okay, thank you. Okay, now comments on the motion. I guess first coming up on my screen is Judy Stanton.
Yes, I have a question about the, I thought I heard her say that you would accept muted lighting, Hazra.
No, the blade sign, what you always suggested, no illumination in the blade sign. But the interior bar, I think they have LED lights on the bar. And the gentleman from the historic group mentioned that was showing outside as well. I've not seen the actual location. Some of you live in the neighborhood and have more information than I do.
That should be made clear. It might be,
Yes, Karen, do you have it?
I said no illumination in the blade sign and softened illumination for any interior signs showing out.
Yes, that's what I want to suggest.
we're not seeing how it would look if it is softened. It might be wrong. It might turn out to be inappropriate there.
I have a question. Hazra, are you talking about, so there's the blade signs I think we're clear about, but there's the big neon sign at the former Robert Bar Robert, which faces across the street. Are you saying that signage, your motion is saying to have lower illumination?
Yes.
Or is it the interior? Because I thought I heard interior.
No, that sign on the bar that the gentleman before had spoken about.
Okay. So a question for the owners, is that neon? Is proposed to be neon?
Ms. Olmsted, you are on mute.
It's not neon, it's LED, but it kind of
Okay,
has
great.
that appearance.
Right. Okay, great. So, okay, now I'm clear. Thank you.
Okay, next person I see on my screen is Bill Flournoy.
Thank you. I realize there are blade signs along Atlantic Avenue, but Atlantic Avenue is a commercial corridor. I still have a little problem with blades signage in a residential area. Okay, just my issue. Okay, but I just wanted to mention it. Okay, because I understand there's blade signage along Atlantic Avenue, but this isn't Atlantic Avenue.
Can I just explain? Bill, 40 feet from a corner is allowed and considered like commercial. And this is a building on a corner, so it has 40 feet on two sides. I know it's not a commercial corridor, but it is commercial. It's not an Atlantic Avenue imitation, but it's clearly a restaurant, so it's not to match the residential because 40 feet from the corner is allowed to be commercial.
As I said, I have a problem with it.
Well, I mean, we could vote on the motion.
All right, well, all right, okay. All right, are there any other questions or comments from board members?
I'm sorry, I just want to clarify. I'm not sure, Hazra, you're correct. The C24 overlay comes from the Atlantic Avenue side, and it does touch the property, but not much. I'm not sure the distance. The corner of Pacific and Bond is not commercial at all. And that's why I think we're having some concerns about the lighting.
No, I'm not saying that it's a commercial. The building, once you're on a street, you're allowed to go into the street 40 feet to do commercial, to have a commercial business, whether it's a deli or
Not if it's not if it doesn't have an overlay.
So that's what?
Not if it doesn't have an overlay. So the Pacific side, Bond and Pacific, is strictly residential.
But they're allowed to do a restaurant on the entire corner, which means it could go deep as 40 feet. Maybe the building is only 20 feet. I don't know what's the size of the building, but it could allow up to 40 feet to put commercial. So if the building is only 20 feet, maybe his neighbor could open something else, maybe a vet or maybe a pharmacy or something. But 40 feet from a corner could be used for commercial purposes.
Having lived some time in Boerum Hill, I noticed you have a lot of mixtures of commercial and residential. I lived on Atlantic, right by Nevins, and they had commercials all over. And it's a very, and side streets also have commercials as well. They've been there for many years. I think it's trying to pinpoint that one, I think a little too much right now. We just want to decide. I think we have a good motion in front of us. It's been seconded. My only question actually is for Ms. Olmsted, and I guess it's a little bit off topic. I just must ask, Ms. Olmsted, are you related to Frederick Law Olmsted?
Just distantly.
Distantly, all right, because especially in light of the fact that his 200th anniversary of his 200th birth is, I think, was this past a couple of days. So I couldn't resist on that. Okay, all right. All right, are there any other comments or questions? And we have the motion has been presented and seconded. No
Ready
further
for the
comments or
vote?
questions? Okay, all right, Karen, you want to do the
Yes.
honors?
Hazra,
Yes.
Daughtry,
Yes.
John is still not here. Bill,
I will go with Daltrey. Yes.
yes. Carlton,
Yes.
Brian is still not here. Nope. Irene is not here. Myself, yes. Elizabeth Ginsburg,
Yes.
Yvette Richardson, back? No? Okay. Ellen,
Yes.
Judy? Judy?
She's on
Uh,
mute. Judy, okay. She's
Timberlake.
coming on.
Yes.
Yes, all right, great. And Esther?
Yes.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
9.
6, 7, 8. Yep, 9.
900.
You got
Motion
it.
passes. Okay,
You
thank
got it.
you. Thank you. All right, next one is 218 Carlton Avenue. I will say no, I have no relatives, no relatives named after me on the avenue. This one is, yeah, all right, yes. And it's in the Fort Greene Historic District. There's a lot of work that's being asked for this particular item for rear construction. There's a lot of work being done throughout this particular item with the lintels and the backside and the facades. There's a lot of, and also, work on, just a lot of construction work up on the roof. There's a lot of that's being done on this one. What I'm going to do on this one is after we do the presentation, we'll then go over to Taya Mueller, who has information for the committee as well. So, but we'll start with the presenter first at 218 Carlton Avenue.
Okay. Hi, my name is Bo Lee. I'm the principal architect of Bo Lee Architects, and we're a Brooklyn-based architecture office that focuses on residential architecture. And today we're here to present the work involved in the reconstruction and the legalization of the secondary non-visible facade at 218 Carlton Avenue. As you mentioned, there's a lot of work to be done, but I believe the work that we're really reviewing today is particularly the second and third floor rear wall work. We will go through that in our presentation. And also one thing to note for record, we received the latest LPC comments this Monday afternoon, and we updated our presentation to reflect their latest recommendations. So what we have previously submitted, it may be slightly different than what we are about to present tonight. So the summary of what LPC's latest recommendation is to present what's been built at the site now, just only replacing the soldier brick lintels with cast stone and leaving the parapet untouched, and present our previous proposal that we submitted to you previously as an alternate option. I'll guide you through that a little more through our presentation. So this first page, this is a project address, is 218 Carlton Avenue. As you can see on our block plan, it's located between DeKalb and Willoughby Avenue. This page confirms that our proposed rear yard is not visible from any of the streets. And to give you an idea of the property, this is the main facade of our townhouse that we're currently working on. Context photos of the rear yard. The work that we're really talking about today is these 2 floors. This just gives you an idea of where the view of the rear yard currently, the photo taken in 2020. This is some reference photos that was supplied to us by LPC that shows the conditions in 2015. This is our initially approved DOB and LPC elevation and scope that was approved in 2020 that already shows the approved 2-story extension on the garden and the first level. We proposed at that time second and third floor rear wall surface to be refinished with a new stucco layer on top of the existing brick wall. We're also showing our new parapet wall to align with the adjacent 220 Carlton Avenue. Forward, however, during our construction, we found that we observed that the existing rear wall, yard wall, to be in really bad shape. As you can see in this existing condition report that we submitted to LPC, we observed spalling bricks, missing bricks, bulging brick layer. In short, the structural engineer and the construction team were all in agreement that this particular wall should be completely reconstructed. So since we had a chance to reconstruct this particular wall, we submitted an PAA, post amendment approval, to DOB and LPC to reconstruct this entire second and third floor wall with a layer of finished brick with a CMU backup, that same construction method as the already approved rear yard extension. Here are the existing section that shows the work on the rear portion of the second and third floor rear wall. This is the proposed section that shows our proposed scope of work here. We initially submitted our reconstruction scope of work to LPC and DOB in October 2021. We received our DOB approval in November 2021. However, it took several conversations and technical reports with LPC, and we finally got our verbal confirmation that the second and third floor wall can be reconstructed in January 2022. And at this point, as a team, owners and construction team, we all decided to proceed with the work to reconstruct the second and third floor walls with the assumption that we will be receiving the LPC approval for this non-visible secondary rear facade. Also, we were extremely concerned about the structural stability of this wall with freeze and thaw cycle in January. Unfortunately, after the rear wall work was completed, and this is the photo that shows the current condition, LPC brought up 2 items: the height of the parapet wall and the lintels. At this time, we informed the LPC that we have proceeded the work, and we shared the current status with multiple photos, and we really worked closely with LPC staff to legalize what's been built for this rear wall. The work could not be proved at the staff level at this time, just because of it was a complete reconstruction, and because of the particular height of the parapet wall. As you can see, the 218 and 20, and they really actually wanted, LPC really proposed that we match 226 Carlton Avenue height, which was not possible with our proposed work because of the ceiling height that we're holding as a habitable room of 7'6" clear. Let me see. However, since we've been talking very, very closely with the staff, LPC staff, They acknowledge that because of the large extension of the two, this is our project, and 214 has a large extension here, and 222 has a very large extension on this side. Because of these large extensions, that 218 rear facade is not seen in conjunction with the rest of the block. Here are some rest of the photos. You can see there's a large block extension there, 222 extension. And this is actually from the second floor, looking at 220 large extension and 214 extension. The latest recommendation by LPC is to leave the current parapet height as is, and just to replace, I believe this is the soldier course brickwork that we have done, and leave the parapet wall as is. And this is the proposed work that we're doing. And we're really kind of reviewing really this portion of the work, because since this portion, everything else has been already approved by LPC and DOB. And then that is a section detail of the coping, showing that we're really quite close to the parapet wall to get the right slope for the drainage and the insulation for the roof. Alternate proposal that we have submitted to you previously was to mitigate that large parapet height. I don't know if it's really large, but fill in that parapet wall. We propose perhaps adding a wooden cornice to the upper portion of that parapet wall, right above our third floor wall. And that is the section showing that work. And that is the scope we're presenting. Questions?
Thank you. Taya, I think this is where you've asked that you wanted to give us some more information.
Hello, committee, and thank you, Ms. Lee. You actually have shortened my comments a bit because you did present as you wrote to the office. So there was quite a bit of communication between the architect and the historic districts involved today. Ms. Lee just represented exactly what she wrote to us. And I have two brief comments that the districts would like us to read into the record. First is from Rosaria Sinisi, representing the Citizens for Responsible Neighborhood Planning of Clinton Hill and Fort Greene. I will paraphrase some of her statement because it would be repetitive, but in brief, based on the previously submitted plans, the Fort Greene Association chose not to comment on this proposal, and representatives from the three organizations elected not to attend this evening's meeting of the Land Use Committee. I will also insert a note that happened tonight also happens to be the night of their own monthly meeting. Returning to her quote, they say, at this point, there is no time for the organizations in question to review the newly submitted presentation. Citizens for Responsible Neighborhood Planning therefore withdraws its comments submitted on April 20. I, as in Ms. Sinisi, has forwarded the revised presentation to the representatives from Society for Clinton Hill and the Fort Greene Association. On behalf of Citizens for Responsible Neighborhood Planning, Clinton Hill and Fort Greene, I protest. And this comment is directed more to the LPC process than to this specific committee. She says, if LPC is going to notify an applicant on a Monday, 2 days before a presentation to CB2's Land Use Committee, that it recommends updates, and it takes the applicant 2 days to complete the revised presentation, there's clearly no time for community review and input prior to a Wednesday evening meeting. The applicant could have at least alerted CB2 and the community organizations of LPC's recommendations on Monday. However, it did not. The current situation makes a mockery of the notion that the community has any input on decisions of the Land Use Committee and seems to indicate that LPC is indifferent to the same. At this point, it would seem appropriate for CB2 to consider advising the applicant that the Land Use Committee will hear its application in its calendared meeting in the month of May, thus giving the community organizations committing their volunteer time and effort time to review the revised presentation and submit input based thereon. Signed, Citizens for Responsible Neighborhood Planning of Clinton Hill and Fort Greene. The next comment is a little shorter. One moment, please. Oh dear, 1 second. Apologies, committee. I am sifting through emails for this. Okay. The Society for Clinton Hill was just informed that there were newly submitted revisions on 218 Carlton. The Society previously submitted the below notice of agreement dated April 23rd on the original plans as submitted. Although the highlighted new revisions do not appear to be significant, we do not have time to properly review the plans and make comments. Consequently, we will defer to the opinion of this land use committee members since they will have the benefit of the explanation and conversation on the revisions. We appreciate the community comments continue to be considered relevant in the conversation and appreciate the processes given in order to evaluate and submit comments to CB2 committees. Respectfully, Society for Clinton Hill. Those are the comments. Thank you.
That's it. Okay, thank you, Taya. Okay, I guess now we'll go to our committee members and board members. Are there any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Just a clarification, and I apologize if I missed it. When you showed the last section, you mentioned it was an alternate to replace the soldier course with the cast stone. Is that what you're proposing to do at this point?
Yes, we are planning to replace the soldier course with a cast stone lintels. Yes.
Sorry, one more question. With or without the cornice?
Without the cornice.
Okay, thank you.
What's a soldier horse doctrine?
It's when a brick stands upright and the narrow side, it stands tall and the narrow side is facing out.
Yeah. I was picturing something at the Grand Army Plaza, but all right, thank you. All right. Okay, any other comments or questions from committee members or board members? Yes, Bill.
Yeah, Bill Fulton here.
Go ahead.
Do you recognize? Okay, thanks. I'm waiting for you to recognize me.
Yeah.
So the alternate plan that you just submitted, has that been approved by LPC?
No, this is all in preparation for the public hearing at this moment. So we've been working really closely with the LPC staff, and that was actually their initial recommendation to add a cornice piece. And that's what we have been working with. And their latest comment on Monday afternoon was, oh, I think it actually looks okay. Perhaps what you should really go for is without the cornice, and then leave the parapet as is, but still replace the soldier course lintels with cast stone. And then that they have asked us to include the alternate proposal just in case the landmarks commissioner may want to see some other alternate option.
Okay, let's do this again. Has the alternate proposal been approved by the LPC?
No, the answer is
no. That's it. That's all I need to hear.
No. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now the first proposal.
Yes.
What was approved by the LPC from your first proposal?
Right now, the lower portion of the extension, two-story extension. May I share my screen again?
But that's not part of this application, Bill, right?
That is
Yeah, that's not part of that. I don't care about that.
Right.
I'm talking about what you're proposing, what has been approved.
The replacement of the windows, and then the sills, but that's it, right? Because we previously submitted the stucco layer finish. As
okay, but the rebuilding of the back wall was not approved.
No, has not been approved.
Because you did this prior to getting approved.
That is correct. That is correct. And that's
Okay.
part of the legalization.
Right, and the parapet, what was the problem with the parapet with the LPC?
So initially, okay, if we want to go into a little more detail, initially what we filed was to match the 220 Carlton Avenue adjacent building. And as we were constructing it with air handler units for internal and the right roofing membrane, we were finding that we needed to raise the parapet height in order for us to accommodate all the infrastructure of
So the LPC had a problem with the height, right? After
Yes.
you submitted,
Yes.
you didn't realize you had to raise it higher because of the work that you were doing. And now the LPC has a problem with that.
Correct.
Thank you.
And then they could not approve it
No.
at a staff level. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from committee board members? If not, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve as presented.
Okay, thank you. Daughtry's moved. Do we have a second?
Clarification? Okay, Daughtry, are you talking about the first or the second?
I'm my understanding is what's on the table right now is the back wall with the soldier courses being replaced with the cast stone lintels. The parapet remains, but there's no cornice. Is that correct, Ms. Lee?
You are breaking up a little bit. And then could you say the last sentence again?
No cornice.
No cornice. That's the proposal on the table.
And
Yeah.
this is not the alternate that you're approving. Daughtry.
Could you approve both? Is that a possibility or no?
No.
I'm asking,
No, just one? Okay.
so you're not approving the alternate, you're approving the first presentation.
My motion is to approve whichever one includes the replacement of the soldier courses with the cast stone lintels, the parapet height remains, and no cornice.
And the brick wall.
Of course, the brick wall.
Okay, I second it.
Karen, were you able to get that?
Ms. Johnson had to step away. I can read the roll for you if you like.
Okay. All right, I guess she had to leave. Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, we have the motion, it's been seconded. Okay, Kaya, go ahead with the call.
Okay, Mr. Gordon,
Yes.
Ms. Karstafen,
Yes.
Johnson is absent. Ms. Ali? Ms. Ali? You're muted, but I believe you're saying.
Yes.
Ms. Blount,
Yes.
Mr. Flournoy,
Yes.
Ms. Ginsburg,
Yes.
Ms. Janner,
Jana is not here.
excuse me, Ms. Stanton,
Yes.
and Ms. Richardson, I do see you.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you.
So that's 6. That is not,
Did you call Mr. Washington?
I did not. Hello, Mr. Washington. How do you vote?
Aha.
Yes.
Okay, that's 900.
And that's Alan J, by the way. As opposed to the other Alan. Okay, I have 900. It passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And oh, yes, I just wanted, I don't know if he's still here. I was going to just tip my hat to old-time board member Patrick Kalaki. I saw him on the screen. I don't know if he's still here or not, but I wanted to just
I'm
give
here.
a little tip. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
All right, I wanted to say hello and thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
bro.
for being here. Okay. All right, next one is 180 Orange Street in Brooklyn Heights.
Speaking of
This one
which,
is- What?
Mr. Kalaki is representing himself on this project.
Oh, okay, and it's actually yours?
Yes, yes.
Fulton, but I think
I
it's.
thought you were just coming in.
I
to
accept
hang
the
out
hello
with
though.
us. All right.
Well, I may start. It's an interesting meeting.
Right, okay, no, I just happened to see your name and I said, God, I haven't seen that name in years. But okay.
I'm still in the
this is yours.
transportation
Okay.
committee. I'm still in the
You're still
transportation
on,
committee.
okay. Okay, good, thank you. All right, so this is yours. Basically,
Okay.
you're putting up signage, street, of the street that you have along the sides of your building.
Yeah, right.
That's basically
And,
what I mean. I was reading the long thing. Okay, Mr. Kalaki, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to take the screen, right? Let me see.
Taya Mueller, can you help him out?
Go ahead.
I think I got it right. Let me see if I did.
There should be a big share screen button at the middle.
Okay. Oh, I see. I missed the other button. Okay. Can you see that?
Yes, and if you could just
go
enter
ahead,
full
Patrick.
screen. Can you enter full screen? Okay,
That
that
it?
looks, thank you, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Actually, it didn't start at the beginning. Okay. Yeah. So the resident at 40 Orange Street, and we want to put in these. I'm calling them Masonry Street signs. They would say Hicks Street and Orange Street, and be inlaid into the brick. These are both mock-ups of how that would look. So we're up in North Brooklyn Heights at the corner of Orange and Hicks, at the southwest corner. And right nearby and all over the place, I'm sure you guys have seen this, there are other Masonry Street signs in other buildings. These three, one is just down the block. The other one is just down the block, although across Willow. And then the third is at Pineapple and Willow. This one is at the one down the block at Willow. So it's at Willow and Orange. And I took a ladder and I climbed up here. I had someone hold the ladder for me and took these pictures. So these are pretty old, but that's what it's just a close up of to show you what it looks like. And they're essentially two courses of bricks wide, and what did I come to? 3.5 or so long. So it comes out to those dimensions of 22.5 inches by 4.75 inches. And this is just another kind of picture of the way it would look. It would be between the first and the second floors there. We've done some outreach, which has been good. Taya got us in touch with the Brooklyn Heights Association. And I think Judy will speak to that. And I reached out to neighbors by email or dropped off letter, which you can't read, but it's right there. And I do have a larger version of that if you want to see what I said. Basically just ask people what they would think. And the result of that was I heard back from a bunch of folks. These various buildings, 35 Orange, the south side of Orange Street, 50 Orange Street, all of whom said they supported the idea, they liked the idea. And just to wrap up, the sign, these would be like stones. The Brooklyn Heights Association has recommended fabricating stones out of concrete. So I should be clear, they are not historic. There have not been signs there in the past. We're doing some work on the place, some desperately needed work on like repointing and cornice work. And in the midst of that, we thought this would be, a nice addition, kind of fun, interesting. And that's the story. So yeah, I think that wraps it up.
Thank you very much, Patrick. I've always wondered if those signs, this street indications that are inside, that are next to buildings, existed before they started putting them up on lampposts. But I was always fascinated by that.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, that's neither here or there. Okay. Do we have any questions or comments? I see Judy Stanton wants to come right in.
I just would like to say that we reviewed this in our committee, and we support the idea of putting the number there. However, we felt very clearly, and we expressed this to Patrick, and he has no problem with it, that it should definitely be seen as contemporary, that And we also believe that material like concrete is what should be used. We tried to choose some sort of contemporary. Well, we don't want to choose the font, but we recommend that Patrick come up with a more contemporary font, just to make sure that no one confuses this with something that, because it is not historic. That building did not have the signs, as Patrick said. So, but we don't object to it as long as it's cement and as long as it's the font somewhat different from the other ones, so that it looks more modern. Hope that makes sense.
Thank
So
you.
Motion to support
Okay.
support it as presented.
All right. Is that a motion?
Second.
Okay, and that's a second? Okay, Miss Ali, your hand up anyway.
Yes, that was to make the motion,
All
but
right,
it's
so
been
either we
made,
have a
so let's,
motion.
so we could just vote.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and it's been seconded. Are there any other further comments or questions? Okay, hearing none. Taya, you want to give us the roll?
I'll start out of order in case she needs to leave. Daughtry, how do you
Okay.
vote?
Thank you. Yes. Thanks, Ed.
Yeah, Mr. Gordon,
Yes.
Ms. Ali seconded, Esther Blount,
Yes.
Bill Flournoy,
That's a yes.
Elizabeth Ginsburg,
Yes.
Yvette Richardson,
Yes.
Ms. Stanton presented the motion, Mr. Washington,
Yes.
and Ms. Johnson's had to step away, so that is 900. Congratulations, Mr. Kulaki.
Thank you so much.
Okay, 900. Okay, you got it. All right, nice seeing you, Patrick.
Yeah, great seeing you guys.
Okay. And he showed us Willow Street, so it just happened that we have one Willow Place. Well, I have it as place, but street in Brooklyn Heights. This one is still is a 4-unit building in which they're asking now to convert to a 1-family building. Looking to do new windows throughout, and other renovations throughout the building, which would make changes throughout it. And this is what, okay, go right ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, thank you, everyone. My name is David Mansfield. I'm an architect in New York City, and I'm also a resident of the community board. I'm going to share my screen right now. So just to reiterate what the chair, Mr. Gordon, has said, One Willow Place in the Brooklyn Historic District. It's a 1849 Greek Revival townhouse. What the Landmarks Commission is asking us to review with you are 4 items essentially. One is to alter and create window openings on the primary facades. Number 2, to alter raised parapet, the existing parapet. 3, to install a stair bulkhead, HVAC enclosure, and railings at the roof. And 4, which was something that was just added because something came up, actually in a conversation with the Brooklyn Heights Association, was that we expected that the existing porch, so was actually had a prior approval, and it turns out that Landmarks has no record of it. So we're actually going to be submitting to legalize the existing porch as well. I'm going to show you exactly where Willow Place is, not to be confused with Willow Street. Girolamo, I'm sure everyone knows this, but Girolamo Street goes down to the water, and Willow Place is obviously one away from the waterfront. And this, I'm going to show you some historic photographs. So Willow Place is on the corner, Girolamo and Willow. It's a, like I said, Greek Revival townhouse. small lot, but corner lot with the rear yard. This is 1904. Brooklyn Heights helped us actually. They had this photograph, even though Landmarks doesn't have it. It shows pretty much how the house was originally. This is a photograph from 1940. As you can see here, the end facade or primary facade on Willow Place has been modified significantly with windows. We'll get to that in a minute. 1980 looks relatively unchanged, so it's a little bit hard to see. And here we're going to see some photographs of how it looks right now. As you can see, fire escape was added in 1940. Is that all right? Sorry. There's a fire escape. Generally, the facade is in solid condition, but cosmetically problematic. Same with the Willow Street facade. The fenestration here you can see is not original. Sizes are haphazard, and locations are not symmetrical. And here is the porch that we're talking about. So I just included in this presentation just another photograph of what the porch looks like. It's more of a Gothic revival style, but we do know that across the street, these are the houses across the street, that it looks like the porch was a direct copy of this. So these houses are from the same time, 1847, Gothic revival townhouses across the street. So I'm going to jump into our full presentation here. And this is just going to be more of the same information. This is our landmark submission, what we've already submitted. Similar photographs showing the existing location. Here's a photograph of the rear yard, which although it's the rear yard, it is visible from the street. Here are these photographs, you saw it previously. So to the meat of the presentation, on the left here, you see our existing north elevation. The work that's proposed here is the removal of the fire escape, which is not really under review, but we are proposing, due to the layout on the interior, the fact that we're going to be putting a kitchen on the ground floor of the house, that these windowsills be raised. You can see here that this indicates infill. On the existing west elevation, or Willow Place facade, this is the work that we're proposing here. Because of this layout, we don't have both side by side, but I can jump forward a little bit and jump back. This drawing also shows what's going on. These X's here indicate windows that we're going to be blocking up. In addition, we will be doing some work to modify the sill heights on these windows, or proposing to do, and that is to make them more uniform with what is on the front of the house and on the back of the house, and make them more proportional to a typical Greek revival townhouse. And in addition to the closing up those windows and enlarging these three, we are proposing to add 4 new windows near the corner. That's the fenestration work. In addition, we are also proposing to unify and create an articulation at the Willow Place facade, and in the process of removing defunct chimneys that are there. They're no longer functional. Sorry, one there. These are 2 chimneys. It's an existing railing we're proposing to remove. We're basically proposing to remove the parapet and then rebuild the parapet with a raised portion in the center, the cast stone cornice, cap, and a soldier course. I'm glad somebody explained what a soldier course previously. Soldier course beneath it, and also a slight articulation with a recessed panel in brick below that. So in essence, the idea is to create a slightly more formal center point on the Willow Street facade, create vertical articulation above the entrance, above the center line. In addition to the parapet work, we are required as an alteration type 1 to add a bulkhead. So this is our bulkhead back here. We'll show that in section, how that affects how it's viewed, and in renderings in a moment, and also a railing here for what would be a terrace. At the rear facade, which I said, even though it's typically in brownstones and townhouses, not visible, it is here because we're end of row, and because of the elevation change, this window opening that we're proposing at the first floor level will be visible, and we're also asking for approval from landmarks and obviously the community for that. These windows, this fenestration pattern here is existing. We're just replacing the windows, and this railing here will be added for code reasons also. So basically, the hatched area here is a new opening. Some axonometrics, just to give you an indication of what we're doing on the roof. Here's our existing chimneys. They will be removed. This is the new section in the center. You can also see the change in fenestration, just diagrammatically. Bulkhead, skylight, and then a mechanical enclosure, all tucked as far away from the street as possible. Again, getting into a little bit more details. Transverse section through Willow Street, indicating that the bulkhead's that's not visible from across the street. Longitudinal through Droleman Street, again across the street. The bulkhead directly across the street is not visible from the street. Look at some photos in a second. When you go up the street, because of the elevation change, it will become visible. But I think you know, it's one of the conditions of the site. Also, we're planning on making the cladding the bulkhead in a dark gray galvalume, like metallic standing seam. These are window details. Basically, the big picture of the windows is we're proposing to do to match the existing lintels and sills out of cast stone to match the existing brownstone, and recreate all the details as shown here, and brick molds, etc., to match. So looking at view corridors quickly, I'll make sure I did not miss it. So this is a view from Willow Place. So we can see here that if we're standing at this location here, looking at our house, which is indicated in red, see this, the rear facade. The fire escape will be removed, the windows will be changed, so there'll be a new opening. But what we're looking at here is this bulk shown in our mock-up is a mechanical enclosure, which will be a horizontal, will be open screen fence, horizontal fence. So again, in a dark material. This is a view corridor viewed from closer to the BQE, looking up Droleman Street. First image here shows the house in the distance here. I don't know if you're seeing that. If I can zoom in, if that's, you see Columbia Place sign is here, but we're actually the next one. You can just see the orange here. We're really looking at bulkhead. Closer, this is our facade here. The orange here, it's a little bit more difficult to understand because we are doing the parapet work. The parapet is the center portion here. The bulkhead is beyond. And then you obviously see the porch and the fenestration pattern. Then, excuse me. Sorry for that. Bulkhead again here. This is the bulkhead. This is the parapet work here from there to there. And yes, so, and then this image here, well, let's see. That's also a sort of a view, really a telephoto view when you're walking up Columbia Place of what would in essence be a dark gray metal bulkhead. So the next view corridor is, like I mentioned before, perhaps slightly more important in the sense that you're at an elevated, as you come down from Henry Street and past Garden Place. The house is at the end here, and I'm going to zoom in. This is the end of row. Here are those Gothic Revival townhouses across the street, just for your information. But here you can see just the edge of the bulkhead peeking up above. And again, that's on the tightest area back to our property line as we can do that. The second view here is closer across the street. And again, you can see just behind this chimney of the neighbor's house, the bulkhead there. Existing cornice will remain and be restored. So nothing really is changing here. What you're seeing just below the bulkhead in these images framed out in our mock-up would actually be a railing, not a structure. So what's not clad in orange is railing only, and what's clad in orange will be actual mass. These might be most helpful of all. This is a photo rendering showing both the existing and the proposed side by side or composed together. As you can see, the fenestration would be a 6/6, more traditional for Greek Revival, and the cornice would be restored. Here you see the center parapet raised in the center, and then also the piece of railing, that's a person up there just for some scale. So in essence, that's the railing there. Chimneys removed. It's the same photograph, just with the both superimposed with a new model superimposed. Jump to the next one. Here's the view from Charlemagne Street. Similarly, photo montage, the bulkhead, the railing, the bulkhead and the railing, and then the fire escape removed, and the new windows and the higher sills in what would be the kitchen. And to continue on to what was also of a lot of importance to the neighborhood is cleaning up what would in essence be part of the street wall along Willow Place. So our proposal is to retain the existing railing. So this might be a little bit confusing. This rendering shows sort of a closer spacing railing, but essentially we'd be keeping this railing, removing the stockade fence, putting in a much nicer painted wood, black wood fence with open balusters and an articulated top and posts.
Chair Gordon?
Yes.
This is not part of the application.
Okay. Well, Landmarks did want to get the community's view on this, but we can keep going. I don't want to.
I think although we did cover a lot on this one.
Yes.
Part of the application was the removal of gutters and rain leaves. Unless I made a mistake.
We're not removing gutters. I mean, the rendering doesn't. Okay. The rendering doesn't show the gutter, but
okay.
I'll rush through the end. I'm sorry to take people's time with this, but there is a lot of little details on this project that.
But it's not part of the application, sir. There's no reason we should.
Yeah. And we still have another person coming up. All right.
Okay.
And we'll stick. We usually just go with the application. What's there?
Okay.
I'll give you one more minute, Mr. Mansfield, and then we really
Sure.
have to,
Okay, here's the fence detail. I really don't have a lot more to share. This is the existing roof. We have our mock-up, if anyone's interested in walking by, of course, and then we have some floor plans that are really not relevant to our presentation. So thank you all for your time. I'm sorry for going over.
okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mansfield.
Sure.
I'll just state at the start, and I think what the young fellow said at the opening of our meeting, is that we are concerned about the loss of the 3 residential units. Now, we can't vote on that, and that's not part of the, although taking out the units is part of the application, we'll not be voting on, let's say, whether it should be done or should not be done. But I will state that we are very concerned about the loss of 3 residential units, even though your client would like to have the whole place for themselves. Having said that, I'll move on to Esther Blunt. Okay, well, she came up on my screen first. I'll just tell Mr. Sepipi, I can't go back and forth on anything else on the, if you wish to speak again, I'll have to do it after the vote. If you wish to join us, it will be for the community section to speak to us. So I have to only, right now it's for our committee members and board members. So I'm going to go over to Esther Blunt.
The applicant was able to speak. The applicant was able to speak.
Applicant can speak, but it's not a back and forth. We have something that we, at this stage, this is our work now.
But
this is what we do.
I guess a point of order, it says the application is to convert an existing 4-family home to a 1-family home. It seems that is what you are voting.
Mr. Sapini, I'm sorry to mute you. The committee chair is simply following committee protocol. So the public commentary period is allowed at the beginning of the meeting and at the end of the meeting, but during this portion, for the sake of time, the deliberation is among the committee members. But we appreciate you being here. Welcome.
Thank you. Okay, if you wish to stay and give your comment at the end of the meeting, I have a section for you. We have a section for the public to speak, and you're welcome at that time. And I'll give you the heads up on that. Esther, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I just want to clarify. So the building is not empty right now. It has tenants. I just want to know that.
There are no tenants. There are no tenants. There are no tenants.
In your building. Okay. Other thing I wanted to know is, I don't think it's required for a 1-family home, but you're going to remove the fire escapes. Are you going to put in a sprinkler system?
Yes, we are.
Okay, that's all I want.
Okay. The next person's hand up I see is Judy Stanton.
Yes, and what I'm going to say in some manner pertains to what our member of the public has been saying, but that is not the basis under which the Landmarks Commission reviews applications. So it may be a valid concern, and I think it is. Landmarks does not consider. What Brooklyn Heights Committee, we did have a long review with this, and haven't been able to give our feedback yet to the applicant, but the major problem here is that this building is trying to be something that it was never meant to be. It was built as a multifamily dwelling. It is a Greek revival. There might have been some implication that it's Gothic revival. It is not. And it was always intended, it was built as a multifamily building, and it's meant to be modest. Willowtown is a more modest section of the Brooklyn Heights Historic District, and the buildings are small. And this is a corner location. This was never meant to be and shouldn't be. It would be inappropriate in the context of Willowtown, but this becomes some grander mansion. It faces Gerolman Street. That's the intent. And it isn't a full width building on the Gerolman Street side. So that was the first thing that we objected to, so that we do not, and we also object to the windows. And the interior programming changes do not justify altering the size of the Gerolman Street facade windows. That's another objection we had. And so, like, I can go on and on, but we do not support this application as it is being shown. We think it needs to go back to the drawing board.
Okay, thank you. Next is, on my screen is Bill Flournoy.
Dr. Chair, thank you, Chair Gordon. My concern right now is, and I always have this concern, is the rooftop terrace. Okay, that's going to be visible, is not?
The rooftop terrace will not be visible. The handrail will be visible, which is a metal vertical open handrail painted black. So it'll be as invisible as possible, but obviously it will be somewhat visible.
So the railing goes to, how close to the edge of the building does the railing go?
The railing goes, I can share, to within 8 inches on the roof. This is probably a little bit hard to see, but this is the parapet wall here. The railing will go against the parapet, so 8 inches off of the front facade on this side here, and then the parapet becomes the high portion of the railing, so it takes the place of the railing, gives you the 42 inches required by code, safety above the terrace, but the railing then turns back. It's basically 6'2" off of the front facade, but on the Willow Place facade, it is behind the parapet. So the edge of the railing at this corner here will be visible, I think, as we showed in our rendering.
Yeah. My issue basically, if there are individuals on top of the roof, they're going to be visible.
Potentially, if someone stands up there, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and that's
we
why
we actually showed that in the rendering. Just
I know, that's why I brought it up again. I have a problem with rooftop terraces that people can actually be viewed from the roof.
This house is, I mean, for better or for worse, I take the comments on board that other people, that the Brooklyn Heights Association have made about it being not a full width. It is a small lot and it has a very small rear yard, so the client felt that the rooftop terrace would be almost a critical part of this development. So and there are a lot of, because it's only less than 15 feet at the Willow Place facade, we are under a lot of constraints when you have a bulkhead and you're getting up and you're trying to have an actual usable space. So, I mean, there were the design constraints. Obviously, I'm taking your comments on board, but I'm just giving you the full picture.
Okay, thank you. Next,
Sure.
I have Mr. Lee on screen.
Yeah, I had the same question. I'm sorry about the bulkhead and the railing. Is there any way that you could have it set back?
We can absolutely take that on board and look at it. Problem is, if you set it back to get it visible, it'll be up against the bulkhead, so it'll negate the roof deck completely. So we're trying to come up with a creative way of not just having a full railing across the house at the top level. Obviously, that will be up for review also, but adding the parapet gave it some articulation and also gave us the ability to replace the railing with the parapet at the center portion. So that was the design idea, to try and mitigate the amount of railing you would see up there, and also give privacy in both directions, as Mr. Flournoy said, not just for the people on the roof to have privacy, but for the people on the street to have privacy from the people on the roof. The parapet serves that. However, on the corner, we felt that continuing that around doesn't work elevation wise.
I have a question for Carlton. Carlton, this application has several parts. It has windows, it has CFO, it has parapet and rear wall. Can we vote on parts of it?
Sorry, can I clarify? we're not, because the description said conversion of the 4-family to a single family was wording that was taken from the Department of Buildings filing.
Okay, so we are not voting on that.
We're not voting. That's not doesn't really relate to to landmarks. So
And the
not
fire escape?
The fire escape removal is it's no longer
Not relevant
required
tonight?
Well, it's not relevant because it's not required as a single family. Fire escapes are required as a multifamily.
Yes, so what, Carlton, what are we voting on? Could we break it up? Because
I am a little concerned because, yeah, I think we followed it, and I think we have the application that says a lot of one thing, and of course, Mr. Mansfield is presenting us with some other things as well, but let me hear what Ms. Stanton has her hand up. I just want to
can
hear
I
what she
just
has
ask
to
one
tell us.
question again about the
Sure.
porch? Because you mentioned about the porch, but then I didn't see it in the presentation.
Well, as I mentioned, we had an email from Landmarks today saying that they could find no record of this porch being approved. We first submitted this. The assumption was both us and everyone involved that this was something that had been previously approved. Obviously, it's part of Brooklyn Heights, and Brooklyn Heights is the first historic district and a very active and very concerned historic district for good reason, because it's a beautiful neighborhood. And we were surprised that they could not find any record of this at this time. So as of today, we are now also submitting this as for legalization.
So we are not voting on this.
I mean, obviously, we would love to get to get the community's comments on this.
Mr. Mansfield,
Yes.
could you show again, please, just the first scope page that you had just up a few minutes ago? And could you state that into the record, please? I do want to emphasize to the committee that this scope is different than what was submitted to the office previously, but it is more concise and appears to reflect subsequent conversations with the LPC. Is that correct, Mr. Mansfield?
Items 1, 2, 3 are the exact same as what was submitted. We just added the porch because in talking to Landmarks today, I said, should I bring this up? And they said, yes, please get the community's opinion on this.
Thank you.
And I agree with my colleague, Taya Mueller, that yes, I do see the windows that came up, but in the application that was presented to, the board and being presented that the committee has seen, in preparation for tonight's meeting, there are some differences on this, so I'm a little concerned. But in any case, yes, I wanted to get to Ms. Stanton. Go ahead.
I wanted to say, I think we should bring this application back. I don't think the committee has stomach for that, but we had an early text, so there was that, we knew that porch was not there. We didn't know what the landmarks history on it was, but it doesn't surprise me that it wasn't approved. But I wanted to mention one of the things that I didn't say was that our committee objected to the removal of the 2 chimneys. That's very characteristic of the 2 chimneys are characteristic of these Greek revivals. And those chimneys shouldn't be removed. And that feeds into what's going on the roof line, because we also had some questions about changing the roof line and specifically removing that. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Bill Flournoy.
Yeah, Ms. Stanton, may I ask you a question? Now, you mentioned the legalization of the existing porch. You're saying that there is no sign of that porch in any of your historic documents?
Not until the first time it appears in a photo that we had, and we have historians on our committee, so look around, and the first time it was not there in the 1980s photo. The 1980 tax photo shows windows similar to the windows that were there in 1940. I think this building was built in the city in 1949. But that porch enclosure was not there in 1980. So it's since the designation of the Brooklyn Heights Historic District, and it sounds from what David Mansfield just said, that the Landmarks Commission doesn't have a history of approving it.
So it was recently added.
Only added subsequent to the 1980s photo.
So are you removing it or are you applying to
So
legalize
we're
it?
legalizing it. We're gonna make it.
Like
his estimate is to
legalize it.
Legalize it.
Oh,
Yeah. And
Okay, I think we've discussed this for a long time. Do we have a motion?
I have a motion to disapprove.
I'll second that.
We don't motion to disapprove.
Yes, we do.
Well, yeah, we can move.
You would
reject
simply not make a motion.
Well,
You need to actually make a comment.
Yes.
Oh,
We can
you do-
move to state that we do not approve the application.
yes.
so all four
Motion.
items?
Yes, would be for all four items. At this time, we would move, there would be, the motion would be to reject the application as presented.
That's correct.
Would you say, Judy, would you accept that?
Reject the application as presented, yes.
Yes.
Okay, and I'll second that.
Okay, we have, all right.
Mr. Gordon,
We have
how
a
do you vote?
motion to reject the application as presented. And it's been seconded. Are there any comments or questions about the motion? Hearing none. Taya, do you do the, or Karen, either one, give us the roll call on that?
Oh, is Ms.
This will
Johnson
be-
back?
If you approve it, if you approve, yes, I'll just make it clear, it's to reject, an approved motion to reject the application.
I am, but Taya, you can do it. That's fine, please.
Mr. Gordon, how do you vote?
Yes,
Yes to reject. Ms. Ali, how do you
yes
vote?
to reject.
I'm gonna abstain.
Mr. Flanoy,
Yes.
yes to reject. Ms. Ginsburg,
We lost her?
I'm sorry, I missed Ms. Blount. Come back, Ms. Blount.
Oh, abstain.
Okay, Ms. Ginsburg, do we still have you on the line? We may have lost quorum. Ms. Richardson,
Can you take the screen down and let's see the people?
Of course.
yes. Ms. Richardson?
I vote yes to reject.
Okay, I do see Ms. Ginsburg. Are you on the line?
She's on mute.
Yeah, we'll come back to her. Okay, Stanton?
Yes.
Yes to reject. Washington?
Yes.
Yes to reject. So we need to hear from Ms. Ginsburg.
And me, I vote yes to reject.
Apologies, Karen, there you are.
Okay, we still have quorum.
You do.
We have 6. If she, Ms. Ginsburg answers, that makes 7.
Actually,
Yes, sorry, I'm hearing
Okay,
yes.
look, she answered.
okay, yes to reject. So that is 702.
Okay, sorry, Mr. Mansfield. Maybe I would suggest perhaps sitting down with the Brooklyn Heights Association and perhaps going over some of these matters, and let's see if we can maybe help you out on the next chance. But thank you for the presentation.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. The last one is 40 Schermerhorn Street, and also in Brooklyn Heights. This one is a 2-unit building, which is coming down to a 1-family building.
No, 2
They
family.
want to do some, yeah. On this one, they also want to do some work at the rear, a lot of work at the rear of the building. And yes, basically full width rear yard work at the building. Okay, go ahead. You may present, go ahead and present.
Hi, My name is Jay Cho. I'm representing the property of 40 Schermerhorn Street. This building been built originally 1855, and the never been extended so far compared to the other neighbor property that fully extended it, most of them on here. And located within Brooklyn Heights. Let me just show you, share my screen.
Please.
Sorry. Can you see well?
Yes, that looks great. You might want to enter full screen.
1 second, bring it down here. There you go. Is that it?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so this is the left photo showing that Brooklyn Heights Historic District, the property located in the eastern tip of the district. And then right next to the property is a commercial building being built recently, 110 Court Street. It was the 15 or 30 high, recently developed it. And the property next to in between is been vacant. So one of the property been demolished. Our records showing 1997. So it's fully occupied. The one left, the property on east side is the vacant lot. It's part of the commercial property is in the rear yard section. It's been furnished by like the private garden loop with the fence. So the scope of the work that we planning to have is basically converting existing 4-story, 4-family house down to 2-family, so that the 1 family is located on basement and cellar, and then above 1st to 4 is another family.
Yes.
And then in between that there is some historical feature from front facade being lost in between by previous owner, and we're going to restoring the missing cornice, missing some pediments and historical lintel, some of them the damaged brownstone, there's the front steps and the railing stuff. And then we have a full extension of the rear yard section up to the rear yard setback line, which is about 8'3". That is about the amount of the extension to each floor. So the total square footage that we're extending is 745 square foot, and it's about the 19% of the space, existing square footage floor area we're extending it. The left one is surveyed before we have any kind of construction. On the right side of one is the yellow colored one is the area that we're going to extend it. So that is showing where the extension line is, and then also it shows the vacant space that immediately right side, eastern side of the property. The photo on the left one is showing that it's a 1940 tax photo. I don't have any exact date. It shows all the kind of historic feature that details that the cornice and then pediment above the main entrance door with a lot of beautiful decoration of the lintel of each store, the window area. On the right side of the photo, we got this from 1980 tax photo. It shows some of them the brick window, brick facade being punched out, and for the window type of the air conditioning and installations, and it's still been that way. So the 1980 photo showing that existing cornice ornament stuff is completely removed, and then some of them, the lintel pediments been modified at that time. This is the current situation. The photo they're showing on the far left, it is the same view. The existing cornice, the historic feature being removed, and the brick being cut out for the window type AC installation. The existing lintel detail being removed, and also the pediments being modified above the manager's door. That is the main front facade work scope that we are planning to restoring most of the original existing detail back to the way it was. This is the rear side of the photo. They're showing that the current conditions. There is a certain first floor deck, metal deck area that shows a lot of damages that we wanted to really extend it entire full width of the building up to pretty much up to the edge of the existing metal deck area. The far left side of the photo showing one adjacent property there, existing extension being far off the area, and our full extension is not up to that. It's going to be a little less than that. So this is the one on the current existing condition we have. This one's showing that entire survey we had for the block, the 270. Majority of the existing property is already been extended to your side. We surveyed most of the neighbor side, so that the first story, second story, or third story, that pretty much most of the property, neighbor property, being already have the extension of the rear side.
And you put your cursor at the block, or is it the one in pink? Is that the one in question? That's it. That's the property in question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and you'll be coming out a few feet at most from from the rear.
I think that's up to the rear, the setback, the requirement yard area, that up to 30 feet for the remaining the rear yard. I think that the first survey one can show you, this is basically the extension that we have. The neighbor property one is even further extended up to here. We are extending up to this, which is about here. And then this is the area photo that we took, the showing we are 40 on here, neighbor property 38 extended, even beyond, and then 36 they got extended already here, and 34 extended even more. So the bunch of the neighbor property, they already had full extension of the river. And we are the first one on the right next to the commercial property. This is the entire the Schermerhorn street view. We located in the 40 far left one, and then pretty much the very historical feature that we have. We are locating on the far left one. This is section showing where we are extending it. So pretty much extending the rear yard and then stair bulkhead. Stair bulkhead, we draw the line, the viewing line on here. So it's not going to be visible from the opposite corner of the street, the other closest side of the street. The front elevation before and after. So as you can see, we are restoring that missing cornice and then restoring that damaged the brick wall with the same red color one. And then we try to restoring that modified the historical detail, and then also that the modified the pediment detail back to the way it was, and adding little the wall sconce the either side of the post entrance area with some kind of historical the features the looking one. So every color will be the same as before. The red brick wall will be the same. Stucco color is kind of warm gray, like a taupe color. Will keep the same as it was before. And the cornice will be painted black and black painted with the stair railing on top of the roof one.
Okay, Mr. Cho, I think we got a lot of it. Thank you very much. Judy Stanton, what does Brooklyn Heights Association think?
Well, first of all, I'd like to ask Mr. Cho if he would give me his contact information, because we would like to get a presentation by him. We were in communication with somebody named Renzo Bellarte on this.
Yes, yes, I'm here actually on the meeting. I was listening in. I'm the building owner's rep and code consultant as well.
Okay, but as a result of, I don't know what, we were not able to schedule a presentation by these applicants in time for the community board meeting. We wanted to know if the Landmarks Commission staff has given you any indication at all of what public hearing date you'll be given. I've seen the May 17th hearing date. I think I've got the date right. The second week of May, that's been published and your application isn't on it. So it may be that you're delayed until June, and our committee will have time to review it, at least prior to any public hearing. But I just want to recommend to the community board too, that they take a really, you all take a really good look at that full height rear yard addition on a block where the lots are not deep. They're characteristically, they're smaller than other lots in Brooklyn Heights. Most lots in Brooklyn Heights are at least 100 feet deep. So, and I don't think our committee has never approved a full height rear addition. And I don't know that the Landmarks Commission has ever approved a full height.
Landmarks did mention something along those lines, and we asked them if it was possible to present to the board regardless, to hear their input, and they said absolutely. So we relayed that to the owner, and the owner wanted to present to the community and see what their thoughts were.
Well, you have my thoughts that I think it's too much for this building, a full height rear yard addition. You haven't given us enough information about the historic material, just how much on the rear, how much of that rear. Looks to me as if the top 2 floors in the back retain the original material, or certainly close to it. So anyway, that's my input. We need to have a review with this applicant later on, as soon as possible. But I'm quite sure we would object to a full height rear yard addition. But
from the original, let's say the original rear wall, is the extension going to be? I'm still not clear on that.
It is 8'3" from the original rear wall.
8 feet, 3 inches?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, okay.
which would give you it would give you the required rear yard that you're allowed, that you need
30 feet.
to leave in the
Mhm.
rear. Correct.
Did the staff, are they requiring you to improve the windows to at least, are the window, in the front windows, are the front windows in good condition?
It is a good condition. It's been replaced previously with insulated glass. So it is still in good condition.
I see, okay.
Hey,
And
are there any
just-
other, yeah,
Just
go
to go
ahead.
back, just to go back to why we're not on the LPC meeting log is probably because they wanted us to present to the community board because they they basically repeated what you just said. So that's why we're probably not on the log.
Okay, we appreciate, thank you. Are there any other comments or questions from community committee members, board members?
Yeah,
If not, then.
This is Bill.
Yes, go ahead, Bill Fenoy.
Yeah, can I take a look at the site lot of the building? I'm just kind of concerned about the bulk. Can you do that for me, Mr. Chow?
It's a 19 by 80 foot 5 inches lot.
Mr.
Okay.
Cho, I believe Mr. Flynn is asking if you could share screen again, please.
Yeah, could you please? I'd like to see that visually because I'm concerned about the bulk of the building compared to the lot.
Thank you.
No, it's the other one. I think it's another one.
Which
It's
one?
when
is
you
it?
are rear yard condition, you showed the back of the, and you colored the additions. There you go. No, back up.
Sorry for that.
That, what number page is that? Back up.
Are you asking for the donut, Judy?
I think that's what Bill wants to see.
I was actually looking for the size of the lot, the building that he's looking to do, the rear extension compared to the size of the lot and the bulk itself.
Okay.
That's
Because
the donut.
Size of the lot is 80 length,
Yeah, this is the.
It's 80,
line.
okay.
and
It's a
he's adding
19
8
by-
feet.
8'3" extension.
So they'll
Easily-
still be at 30 feet behind.
Right.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the exact site, the bulk of the building itself. Okay, he's doing a full extension and the building itself is a 4-story building.
It is.
The building, the whole building would be 48 for 3 deep.
No, I'm
Top
not
story.
concerned
Add it.
concerned about the depth of the building.
Talking about the height.
Yes, the height and that's what I'm concerned about, the actual bulk of the building.
Gotcha.
The section shows the vegetation height. This is the one. Let me see.
Okay, so you're going to extend it, I'm assuming that line that you have, the red wording, move your arrow over
The
to the left.
shaded area on the right is
The
the
yellow
extension.
area.
Correct.
The yellow area is the area of the new proposed enlargement.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I wish I had the expertise to actually look at this bulk, okay, but I don't have the expertise on this. Does anyone have expertise about bulk?
Audrey,
I don't understand the question, Bill.
Actually, I think it's gone.
Yeah, Daughtry's gone.
Don't you have?
Now,
Yeah.
what do you mean about the bulk? They're leaving 30 feet
No,
rear,
no,
which
the
is
actual
allowed.
overall size of the building.
Well, what they've done here is they've calculated the FAR, and the building obviously had additional unused FAR. So
That's
that's why
correct.
they
So-
could add,
That's what I'm
a
looking
little
at.
bit on the top, and
Yeah, all
And-
the square footages are compliant with the zoning. We're not allowed to create any new non-compliances. So everything that's done here is being done as per the zoning regulations. You know, yeah, all the square footages, the lot coverage, the height of the building, that's all compliant as per zoning. So the building
Okay,
department wouldn't
that's
approve
the
it.
question I was asking. Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, it's all compliant. So in essence, it's not a city planning variance for excessive bulk. It's all as of right.
As of right, yes.
Correct, correct.
Okay, thank you. That's the question I was asking, not about the depth of the yard.
Understood, understood. You're welcome.
Are there any other questions or comments on this matter? Hearing none, then I'd like to have a motion.
Make a motion.
To approve?
No, my motion is to disapprove the application because of the size of the rear yard addition being proposed.
Here, a motion to disapprove. Do we have a second?
Motion to reject, I guess is how Taya would write.
So the disapprove or reject.
I'll second.
Okay, so this is a motion to disapprove.
Carlton, I'll second.
Okay, got it. All right, we have it. Any questions or comments? It's the motion to disapprove. So if you're saying yes, it's to disapprove. Okay, whoever wants to do the roll.
I got to Karen. Mr. Gordon,
Mr. Gordon,
No.
I'm sorry, are you saying no, you do not reject it?
Yeah, no to the disapproval, yes.
Okay. No to the disapproval. Ali,
Yes.
how's Ali?
no.
No to disapprove. Esther Blown,
No.
no to disapprove. Flanoy,
No to disapprove.
thank you. Ginsburg,
I'm gonna abstain.
yes. Stanton,
Yes.
sorry. Yes. Sorry, the
Ginsburg
screen
was
has
an
gotten
abstain.
quite wide. Richardson,
Taya, Ginsburg was an abstain. Did you say she was a yes?
Have it.
no, I have
No.
Ginsburg as abstain. Richardson,
No to disapprove.
no to disapprove. Stanton is yes to reject. Washington,
No to disapprove.
thank you. Karstafen is not with us. Johnson,
Yes.
Karen?
okay, so I have 261.
So this
So-
motion fails.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, go ahead,
Okay, you
Carlton.
give it to Miss Ellie. Give it to Miss Ellie.
The motion is to approve as presented.
Okay,
All
any
right,
comments or questions on the motion? Hearing none, go ahead, Taya.
Gordon,
Yes.
yes to approve. Ali,
Yes,
yes to approve. Blount,
Yes.
to approve. Flanoy,
Yes.
yes. Ginsburg,
Abstain.
Richardson,
Yes.
Stanton,
No.
Johnson,
No.
Washington,
No for Mr. Washington.
interesting. So that is
I have
5-3-1.
3-1, but it passes.
so it
'cause we have a
passes.
majority. It passes.
You got it, Mr. Cho.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks for having me. Good night.
Thank you very
Okay.
much. Thank
Thank
all.
you.
And
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Brooklyn Heights
Yes.
Association say, so I'll be getting in touch with you if you want to give me your contact information, or I'll get it from Teo if she has it.
Oh,
I do recommend that. I think it's a good idea to still follow up with the Brooklyn Heights Association.
Who is the
Thank you. That's
preferred,
all.
who's the preferred primary contact? Is it Mr. Bellarte or Mr. Cho? I do not have Mr. Cho's information.
I think that my contact information already given to the material that we submitted.
Mr. Bellarte, can I reach you to,
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I could forward you Mr. Cho's information, not a problem.
thank you very much.
You
You're
have
welcome.
Thanks a lot.
Yes.
Okay, all right, we've done all our applications. Over to the chair's report. I'm gonna make it quick. Taya has informed us that we're still working on a change of the scheduling of our meetings. I don't know when it'll exactly take effect, but we still are looking at a change of meeting days. Right now, we meet on Wednesdays, usually like the second or third Wednesday of the month. What's being proposed for this committee is to meet on the second Thursday of the month.
Thursday, oh.
Right. Well, yeah. It'll meet on the second, it's not, it's
Why?
at this point, it's just a proposal.
Okay.
I think they're moving around a number of things, and I think one good thing about it, even though Thursday is usually my swim day, but I'm willing to give it up because then the executive committees will meet towards the end of the month, which would allow whoever is secretary at least a couple of weeks to submit minutes. So there will be a break between, a good break between preparing the minutes and actually having to submit the minutes to the, for executive committee and later board approval. There's a number of other changes. I don't know if Taya wants to show them yet, but I just want to let you know that. Secondly, it's a rent stabilization matter. Some of you may have heard it on the radio or TV. The Rent Guidelines Board sets the rents for rent stabilized apartments. The Rent Guidelines Board has proposed increases of about 2 to 9% for 1 and 2 year leases. I don't have all the exact percentage, but I just people should know that the Rent Guidelines Board is asking to present down the road for final approval increases in rent stabilized rents. Finally, the third thing is the next month, Taya has informed us that we'll be discussing the statement of needs. Yes, that again. So we're asking people to consider, keep in mind what are things that agencies should be doing, various city agencies should be doing that we think should be done. Taya did send out, look in your inboxes, a very good summary of the last year or couple of years of proposed statements of needs and the responses by various city agencies. So you can see what's been proposed, what the city agency has suggested, and maybe we either get an idea as to what you want to propose or not. It'll be up to you. But yes, we'll have that discussion in May, from what I understand. Am I correct, Taya?
Yes, that's a great summary. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, now we'll go over to the opens for people, for community, for people who are not on the board and not in the committee. Do we still have that young fellow who wanted to speak? Oh, yes, Mr. Shepard, you have 2 minutes.
You got it.
Your turn.
You got it.
Hear this man very much, but could I just say something that's relevant to our landmarks review process? When we make modifications, sometimes we pass motions that contain modifications with changes that we wish to see made on applications. But when the community board decision is read aloud at the landmarks public hearings, they never ever mention any caveat that's voiced by the community board too, never. So even if we approve with, and then we list, in committee anyway, I would assume that the land use committee minutes reflect modifications that this committee likes to try to make. It never gets conveyed at the public hearing by the Landmarks Commission. So I don't know what our letters look like. I never see the letters get sent to the LPC, but we don't always blanket yes or no. Every once in a while, we have some sort of thoughtful comment that explains our vote. but I'm repeating myself, but that's getting lost in translation at the Landmarks Commission. Never
Well,
hear
my
that.
understanding is that when whoever's doing it in the office from Rob's time and up now to Miss Mueller's time, when we reach a decision, the decision with our comments is sent to the Landmarks Preservation Commission. If they choose to read it or ignore it, that's their decision. But we do put it on the record, and I believe it is sent onwards to the LPC. Am I correct, Taya? Yes.
Correct.
Well, Rob
Okay.
told me that he did, but I never saw the letters myself. He said he conveyed it, but I'm disappointed then if Sarah Carroll is overlooking that.
Okay, this is now, anyway, this now for the time for the
Okay.
for public comment. Mr. Sieppe, you got 2 minutes.
Thank you. Like I mentioned, I'm an attorney. I live in 110 Livingston. I used to be a tenants attorney. Now I work in commercial litigation. And I understand that, first of all, thank you all for all of the hard work you do. I know this is, to say the least, you're doing this because you're passionate and you care about the issues. And so I want to say thank you for that public service. But I just want to state as a member of the community that I think I take a broader reading of the remit of the community board and its committees than it seems like maybe is here. I read the legislation. I read the legislation that curtailed some of the community board's powers a while back. And it's my understanding that it's an advisory committee that can comment and make recommendations to the various boards and commissions that put things before it. And I think it's important when we are dealing with such a homelessness crisis that any time an application comes up to destroy housing, that's a serious part of the consideration, whether it's explicit in their application or not. Of course, they're not going to put it in their application. They're not going to ask permission to destroy housing and make sure that rents go up for everybody else and that housing prices continue to increase. So I sincerely appreciate all of the work that you've all put in. You guys do a lot of work and it's very welcomed. And I would just appreciate thinking perhaps a little bit more broadly about what the remit is in terms of facing this type of crisis. So I appreciate that. And thanks for listening.
Thank you very much. We've had this discussion before. It's not on another, and it just happened to be, it was in Brooklyn Heights as well. And it's something that the way we can vote, we cannot really do very much about it except just to say, hey, you're taking out rentable, units. I mean, I've lived in a number of small buildings in and around the Heights and Boerum Hill. They provided me with housing, so I understand completely. But there's not much that we can really do on this particular topic, except just to say you are taking out rentable units. Esther Blount has her hand up, and then Ms. Ali.
Yes, I was going to say pretty much what you said, Mr. Gordon. This land use committee understands what you're saying exactly. And if it was something we can do, these owners already bought these buildings. And anyway, if they didn't, we can't, Community Board 2 cannot stop them for relocating tenants or nothing, but we do feel, we understand what you're saying, and we wish that we could do something about it. Everybody on this committee wishes that we had more power, but we don't. And we realize that rents are disgusting. All these buildings are going up with the so-called affordable houses that's not really affordable. So believe me, we understand what you're saying, and I thank you for spending so much time with us tonight.
Thanks.
Thank you, Esther. Ms. Ali?
I will just say ditto to Ms. Blunt. You said it. That's exactly what I was about to say.
Okay. All right. I do not see any. Are there any other community? I'll say community people from who are not on the board or committee? Hearing none. Any other open business from committee members? Yes, Bill Flournoy.
To adjourn.
Oh, that's not business. Okay, no other. That's
the only business I have. Motion to adjourn.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for your hard work. And
Good night,
thank you
folks.
for-
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Karen, especially. Thank you, Taya.
Thank you, Karen.